Good morning, good morning. This is Miss Pamela Smith. Good morning to all my family and friends. Good morning. Giving honor to God who's head of my life, order my footsteps. I thank him for the life that he has blessed me to have. I thank him for my family, my friends, and all my many, many supporters around the world. I am Miss Pamela Smith. Thank you for my Christian brothers and sisters, my Nation of Islam brothers and sisters, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'd like to thank all of my family for standing with me through justice in the state of Oklahoma. I am Miss Pamela Smith. A week ago, I ran into Candace Rowe. This is Candace Rowe. She was the first victim that Donald Reed Cochran locked up in the room at Department of Public Safety and asked this little black girl for sex. She was 15 and a half years of age, and she went up to the Department of Public Safety to get her driver's permit. Donald Reed Cochran met her at the school the day before, and he told her she failed the written test and asked her to come over to the Department of Public Safety on 36th Street North, and told her she failed a written test again. And Candace had told me that she knew she hadn't failed because she studied really hard. But she told me this after we met up with each other through our journey of justice. But anyway, she went over to the Department of Public Safety at 575 East 36th Street North. And Donald Reed Cochran, the state driver's examiner at the Department of Public Safety, took her in a back room, locked the door, sat on the desk, and asked her for sex in exchange for a grade. And this is all at Department of Public Safety. Candace told him she was only 15, and what did he want? Money. He told her no, he wanted her. She made a police report. This is Candace Rowe. She was 15 and a half years of age. She was the first victim to Donald Reed Cochran before I. And so Candace made a police report. Here's Candace's police report that she made to the district attorney, Mr. Tim Harris, when he was the district attorney in Tulsa County. Her grandmother made the report for Candace. However, her cry fell on deaf ear. But everything that we tell you guys about this case, we have documentation. That's one thing we want you all to know, that this case is well documented. There's no ifs and ands and whys and should. It's about justice for Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe and our families and our community. Candace Rowe went to the grand jury with Miss Pamela Smith. She had 10 witnesses. She got out and helped me to get signatures to seat the grand jury in 2004 after we got the signatures. We got the grand jury seated. Candace had 10 witnesses to come testify on her behalf. When she was sitting out in the hall, her mother was with her, and Candace never got to go inside the grand jury and testify. They wouldn't let her come in. They just railroaded us at the grand jury. They wouldn't let her come and testify to what Donald Reed Cochran had did to her. Her statute of limitations was in place. We got out and buried our soul for this grand jury. I did it 3 times because I wasn't going to let the state officials tell me that I wasn't raped and there was no glass salt shaker, because I knew what happened to me. When you know what happened to you, you stand on it. She was only 15 and a half years of age. The state of Oklahoma ruined this little girl's life. She today is intimidated and fearful of law enforcement. When she went to go do a polygraph, the troopers at Troop B intimidated this little girl so bad and tried to give her a polygraph at the age of 15 with her mother sitting out in the lobby at Troop B, which is the highway patrol up on the highway here in Tulsa, off of Sheridan. They took her in the back room and intimidated this little girl and told her if she was lying, you're going to get Donald Reed Cochran in trouble. The mother asked, could she go back in the back while they tried to intimidate her daughter, Candace? They told her no. So they upset Candace so bad, the troopers did, at Troop B here in Tulsa, trying to do a polygraph on a 15-and-a-half-year-old black girl. Now, she was already locked in the room at Department of Public Safety by Donald Reed Cochran and trying to get sex out of her. Then the troopers take her up at Troop B and lock in another room without her mother. Shame on the state of Oklahoma. I asked the U.S. attorney, is it legal to question a child without the consent of their parents to even offer to do a polygraph? And he told me no. Anything done about that? Absolutely not. This is Candace Rowe. She and I have been fighting. She had her first encounter with Donald Reed Cochran in September of 1997. I am Pamela Smith. I was raped, sexually assaulted. In the year of 1997, Donald Reed Cochran started violating me in November. I was raped and sexually assaulted with the glass salt shaker in April of 1998 to say goodbye to a dying sister. I have continued to champion and fight for justice for myself and many other victims in the state of Oklahoma. The glass salt shaker that I was raped and tortured with was picked up by the lieutenant of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. He picked it up and brought it to Pamela Smith to identify it. I identified the glass salt shaker. The glass salt shaker was sent, delivered to the district attorney's office by Lieutenant George Randolph. Once I identified it, he told me he was taking it to the district attorney's office, and he did that. And for years, Drew Edmondson and Tim Harris and state officials have called me a lie, called Candace a lie, basically. That we black women, so we black women don't get justice. We liars, and we want to do this for money. Well, make a long story short, Lieutenant George Randolph delivered the glass salt shaker to Tim Harris's office, and once he delivered it to Tim Harris's office, it came up destroyed. Drew Edmondson was the Attorney General for the state of Oklahoma, and Tim Harris was the District Attorney in Tulsa County. The glass salt shaker came up destroyed because it had DNA all over it. My prison files, my field file is when you come out of prison, it tells you everything. It's like your jacket of everything you did in prison. So when you make parole or discharge, the probation and parole people have your jacket. Your jacket follow you wherever you go. When I came home in September of 2000, I didn't have no jacket. My jacket was destroyed in 1999 along with the glass salt shaker, the medical records, and everything on this case to impede Pamela Smith from going forward. So I continue to fight for justice on this case. I just want to continue to bring you all an update. My page that I had all my videos on, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's letter, all my videos, that page got dismantled, Facebook did away with it. But you know, by the grace of God, everybody that know Miss Pam know I got 5 copies or 10 copies of everything. So they didn't stop anything. They dismantled it because they said I had 2 pages. But you know what happened, you guys? I'm going to be real with you guys. When I called up on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they got nervous. When I called up on him in that post the other day that with me and him on the Rise magazine, he's on the front cover and my story is in the inside of it, Rise magazine out of Atlanta, Georgia. When I called up on the Nation of Islam and asked the minister to help me and asked his followers and people around the world to contact the Justice Department, the Inspector General, also the FBI, and investigate the state of Oklahoma for corruption on this case, destroying evidence in the property room out of the district attorney's office. And it was law enforcement that destroyed the evidence once another law enforcement gave it to them. And then so when we asked and called up on help, then the page get dismantled. But then, you know, I'm okay with that. You know, y'all know Miss Pam, I roll. They don't stop this show. What it does, it tells me, is when the devil do stuff like that, it let me know I'm close to my blessings. Because the devil's running scared. They need to run scared for all the injustice they have done to people in the state of Oklahoma. How they have allowed Donald Reed Cochran to rape and torment women. Over 200 women went into that Department of Public Safety on 36th Street North trying to get their license or they permit and got solicited sex or raped or abused in some kind of way. He would use his badge. He would use his position. He would use the state building or Department of Public Safety to rape and solicit sex from women, and mainly women of color. But the state of Oklahoma found nothing wrong with that. They told us our statutes of limitations ran. What they do in the state of Oklahoma, they let women's cases set on the dockets or a file, and then they sat there for years and years and years, and so their statute of limitations run out. But if I stand to be corrected, there's a Congress in Florida that just fought for statute of limitations for a woman that was abused in the military. I want him to know that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Miss Pamela Smith, I'm fighting the state of Oklahoma, and all they keep throwing up in my face was statute of limitations. My statute of limitations was in place, and so was Candace. They use that because they don't want to investigate the truth and accept the truth that Pamela Smith was raped, sexually assaulted with a glass salt shaker by Donald Reed Cochran, a state driver's examiner that moved away from Tulsa and now live in Houston, Texas, and locked this little girl right here in a room at Department of Public Safety and asked her for sex in exchange for a grade. Now that's extortion. So destroying glass salt shaker. So state officials in the state of Oklahoma, Drew Emerson and Tim Harris, and other state officials, Tom Gruder, John Wilford, Angela Berlin Martin, Sherry Todd, Renee Watkins, I could go on and on and on of the injustice of the things that they have did on this case. So they destroyed a glass salt shaker. They destroyed the polygraphs that Miss Pam Smith did. Candace did Don Reed Cochran had to do a polygraph for Candace Rowe, and he failed Candace Rowe's polygraph. He didn't want to do a polygraph for Pam Smith, so he quit his job at Department of Public Safety in Tulsa and went to Chelsea, Oklahoma, where he violated a little girl up there. He returned in his resignation in February of 1999 at Department of Public Safety, went to Chelsea, got a job, violated a woman up there, had nude pictures on the computers, and they did nothing about it. They know Donald Reed Cochran is sick. The state law enforcement knew it, but they didn't matter. He was sick, and he put his sick habits violating women, and the state of Oklahoma knew that, but they didn't give a damn. We were black. We don't matter. We don't matter to the state. We black girls. They've been raped all their life, so it don't matter for them to be raped and abused. We'll just get Don Cochran out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and send him to Houston, let him hide down there, and we won't prosecute him, because if we prosecute Donald Reed Cochran, we got to go down too. We destroyed that glass salt shaker. We done withheld evidence. We done tampered with evidence. We done tampered with witnesses. So this is where I'm at today. I am on my way to the Supreme Court. Justice for Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe in the state of Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma told everybody for 20 years, law enforcement, the FBI, the DOJ, the governors, and everybody, told the courts and the 10th Circuit Courts of Appeal, they said there was no glass salt shaker. Oh, she wasn't raped. She made that up. I beg their pardon. Right here is the glass salt shaker, where the lieutenant of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol picked up the glass salt shaker and delivered it to the district attorney's office. This is what you call the intake sheet. And this is the intake sheet where George Randolph picked up the glass salt shaker, brought it to Pamela Smith to identify it, and told her he was taking it to the district attorney's office for criminal charges. However, that never happened. The glass salt shaker came up destroyed. And the reason why they destroyed it, it had DNA all over it. The DNA would be able to substantiate Pamela Smith's claim that she was raped, and Donald Reed Cochran raped her and tortured her with that glass salt shaker. So the lieutenant of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, Lieutenant George Randolph, delivered the glass salt shaker to Tim Harris's office, and rather than them fighting for justice for Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe, they go out and attack the victims, call us liars, to try to impede our ruling and stop us. But it has not been enough, because I know who my God is. I ask you all to continue to call upon Washington, D.C., the Department of Justice, the FBI, not the boys in the state of Oklahoma. I went to the FBI and told them I was raped with a glass salt shaker, and they didn't believe me. I told them that in 2004. In 2018, I went and took this documentation right here and showed it to the U.S. attorneys right here in Tulsa County, down off of Boulder in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Me and Jamal Ali, my brother of the Nation of Islam, went with me. Took this evidence in 2018, and the U.S. attorney, all he wanted to know was two things. How did I get this evidence, and what's driven me? What's driven you, Miss Smith? I said justice. He wanted to know, how did I get this? I told him law enforcement gave it to me. I was glad to tell him one of his own gave me this evidence. For years, they've been told that there was no glass salt shaker, and she wasn't raped. But here's the proof that I've been saying for 20 plus years. Even the district attorney, Steve Kusweiler, lied on August the 6th and said he didn't know if I was raped. Well, the reason why he don't know that I was raped is because his friend Tim Harris is the one that destroyed the glass salt shaker when he was the district attorney. Now Steve Kusweiler is the district attorney, and that was his friend for 30 years working into the district attorney's office. The glass salt shaker went into the district attorney's office in 1999. It came up destroyed. When I go to court in January of 2004 and to a grand jury, there's no glass salt shaker. It's destroyed. Lieutenant George Randolph couldn't show up at the civil trial because he didn't have a glass salt shaker. And when I wouldn't go away and I went and got a grand jury, Lieutenant George Randolph showed up at the grand jury, and I believe in my heart he came and pleaded the fifth, because I was standing in the hall crying, and he touched me on my shoulder and hugged me. He went in the grand jury, and he came out. And the reason why I believe he took the fifth, how could he go in there and incriminate himself? He know he was the one that picked up the glass salt shaker, and it was destroyed. How did he talk? The state of Oklahoma has got people all involved in this web of cover up and lies, and the world is watching this. So I ask you guys to share all my posts, share everything I have, because a lot of my stuff got deleted and a lot of my stuff it didn't. But I still have a lot of my stuff, most of my stuff, on hard drives and flash drive. I'm nobody's fool. I know the enemy is mad, and I know they know God is hot on their trails. So I wanted to come and show you all Miss Candace Rowe, the first victim that Donald Reed Cochran Sr. locked in the room and asked for sex, and the state did nothing for her, and she's messed up today. There's another little girl that's dead that Donald Reed Cochran raped. Don't know the circumstances about all of that, but I know he violated over 200 women at Department of Public Safety, was going in getting drive tests. He's running his hands up their skirts. He did everything he could, and the state officials did nothing to help the victims. In the state of Oklahoma, they left over 7,285 rape kits sitting on the shelf. And guess what? The women look just like me and Candace. Untested rape kits. So the state of Oklahoma needs to be investigated, and they need to start with the Pamela Smith and the Candace Rowe case, where the district attorney's office have been fabricating, destroying evidence, and lying and backdating certificate of service in the attorney general's office, the district attorney's office. These agencies need to be investigated. And some of these people need to be held accountable for evidence of a woman being raped and tortured with a glass salt shaker that law enforcement delivered to Tim Harris's office in 1999. And here we are in 2018. Drew Edmondson said in 2018, told me, Pamela Smith, I was not raped and there was no glass salt shaker. I guess somebody forgot to tell him that there was a glass salt shaker. Here's the evidence of the intake sheet that the glass salt shaker was delivered to the district attorney's office, Tim Harris, by Lieutenant George Randolph. It says, glass salt shaker put up victim's vagina shown to a victim by OHP, Lieutenant George Randolph. Now, what more do they need? And the state officials been using the clock or statute of limitations on black women and victims in the state of Oklahoma. And the congressman in Florida just warned Mr. Brian Mass, won a case for a victim. And so he need to know that down in the state of Oklahoma, I wrote John Sullivan. I wrote Tom Coburn. I went to Washington, D.C. to see Tom Coburn. I paid for me and the NAACP to fly out there. When we got out there to see Tom Coburn, his staffers come and say, oh, it must be a scheduling problem. Now, he didn't want to meet us because the boys in Oklahoma told him, don't meet with her. But yet I flew us all the way to Washington, D.C. for Tom Coburn, the Republican out of Tulsa, not to speak with us. When I saw Tom Coburn at the Rudisill Library in Tulsa, I jammed that dude and asked him, why would you let us fly all the way to Washington, D.C. and you knew we was coming? And he said, well, one thing about that young lady, she's making us be held accountable. You're absolutely right. He didn't want to meet with us because he got word from Oklahoma not to meet with Pamela Smith, because he knew if he met with me, he had to report that. So I have called on my congressional people in the state of Oklahoma. They do not want to help because they don't want to lock up their friends, and they know this is injustice, what they have done in the state of Oklahoma, backdating certificate of services out of the attorney general's office, destroying evidence out of the district attorney's office, fake polygraphs out of Eddie Warriors, tampering with witnesses at Eddie Warriors Correctional Center. I mean, you name it, and these crooks did it in the state of Oklahoma. This is Drew Edmondson, the Attorney General, used to be for the state of Oklahoma, executed 90 people under his watch when he was Attorney General. And this is the rapist, Donald Reed Cochran. Drew Edmondson told the NAACP and other people he didn't know Donald Reed Cochran. This was just a photo op. Really? They look like they're cousins or brothers to me. But Drew Edmondson told everybody that he didn't know this rapist. But yet you spent taxpayers' dollars to defend this man. And you said you didn't know him, and yet you went and destroyed the glass salt shaker, Ignore this little old girl's cry, but you say you don't know this rapist standing beside you. This is Donna Reed Cochran, the rapist, that left the Department of Public Safety and went to Claremore, Oklahoma, Chelsea, Oklahoma, lived up there and became a city manager. So when you rape women in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or black women or victims, period, you get promotions in the state of Oklahoma. But if you were a black man and you raped a white woman, you wouldn't get a promotion. You'll get a trip straight to the jail. So I want you all to know, charges filed on you. Donna Reed Cochran never had charges filed on him. For all the women he violated in the state of Oklahoma, lit young girls was trying to get drive tests. He was running his hands up their skirts, violating them in every way he could. He also locked Candace up in the room and asked this child for sex in exchange for a grade. Told her she failed the written test. The transcripts for the trial proves that Candace Rowe never failed either one of the tests at the school or even at Department of Public Safety. So Donna Reed Cochran has been protected by the Good Old Boys Club. So it's okay to rape black women, destroy glass salt shakers, state officials that law enforcement delivered to them with DNA, and then you go out and attack us black women? Well, when is somebody going to see about women of color? How about us? How about us for justice? You know, we want justice just as if our skin was white, our hair was blonde, and our eyes was green. It's countless women that Donna Reed Cochran, this man right here that live in Houston, Texas, right now, has violated so many women. And this man, Drew Edmondson, knew he did it, and that's why they used taxpayers' dollars to defend this man. They rather save the state money than to give justice to Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe and countless victims at the Department of Public Safety where we were abused at. I was raped, tortured, and abused with a glass salt shaker to say goodbye to a dying sister. My sister died Easter Sunday. I was raped that Friday at Department of Public Safety. Before I could go see my sister that Friday morning, early afternoon, I had to be tortured with a glass salt shaker. Let me tell y'all something. I tell this story because I don't want these devils to ever have no peace. I'm going to dog them like they did me and other black women. They need to be exposed. This should not never happen, and then the state officials go and think we supposed to go away, and they supposed to have a happy life. I don't give a hoot about Drew Emerson and Tim Harris and all these state officials that wrong black women and people in the state of Oklahoma. They need to be held accountable for this. This is not justice, and if this is the way justice look in America, shame on the judges in the courtrooms. We have gone to from the district court to the northern courts, to the United States, to the 10th Circuit Courts of Appeal, looking for justice. And the same truth is what we have. We were raped, we were sexually assaulted, solicited sex, and the state officials know this. Everything that Pamela Smith tell you guys, you can look it up. I am Pamela Smith. I went to prison. I was guilty as charged. I was guilty as charged. I went to prison for checks, credit cards, and stolen property. I had an addiction. I've been clean and sober for going on 24 years. Been home 21 years coming up. I know who my God is, and I know what I must do. I've got to stand and fight. There's no devil in hell can intimidate me or stop me. You will not violate me and think I'm going to be quiet. You're going to violate me and Candace and other victims, and then y'all go out and lie on us and destroy evidence to cover y'all's tracks. Well, you didn't do a good job, because here's the intake sheet of the glass salt shaker that went into the district attorney's office by Oklahoma Highway Patrol Lieutenant George Randolph. Let me say this to you guys. In 2004, a senator friend of mine called me, and she asked me, I asked her, she called Tim Harris and asked Tim Harris, would he help me? Because I wasn't getting no help from Drew Edmondson, not knowing they all were the same. So my senator friend, Senator Maxine Horner, called Tim Harris, the district attorney in Tulsa County. She called him and asked him, would he see about me? So she called me back and said, call Tim. So I called Tim Harris's office on February the 10th of 2004. And when I called him, he set up a meeting for me to come the next day. I went to see Tim Harris the next day, but before I could get down there, I had told Tim Harris, the former district attorney, that I had written him letters from my prison cell asking him to put criminal charges on Donald Reed Cochran. Now, Mr. Tim Harris asked me would I bring the letter. I told him, yes, I'll bring the letter. So I brought the letter with me the next day, which was February the 11th, 2004, at the Tulsa County District Attorney's Office. I took the letter with me, and I showed it to him when I got down there. I even have the receipt where I met with Tim Harris. Do y'all see that? These dogs can't lie and play no games with Miss Pam Smith. I document everything, and I got it. And if I ain't got it documented, I got it put up in my brains, or my family and friends and other people got stuff put up all around the world. I met with Tim Harris on February the 11th, 2004. When I went with him to meet with him, I went to ask him to put criminal charges on Donald Reed Cochran for raping me with this glass salt shaker. Do you know this district attorney, Tim Harris, asked me if I could get the glass salt shaker I was raped with? And the reason why he asked that, you guys, the reason why he asked that, Mr. Anderson Fowler, is because he was trying to see what I knew about that glass salt shaker. See, in 1999, it was destroyed. And in 2004, you asking me about it? You was trying to see what I knew about it. He asked me, the victim, this black woman, this colored girl, the woman that was sexually raped, tortured, and abused by Donald Reed Cochran, the Department of Public Safety. Raped so many times I couldn't count it. Went to state officials and asked them to help me. Told them Donald Reed Cochran was raping and violating me. Gave me a condom, doing these things to me. And they laughed in my face. Ed Spencer said he thought it was a joke, and he laughed, and it's in the transcript. So when I met with Mr. Tim Harris, he wanted me to get the glass salt shaker. I told him that's not my job. That's your job, sir. You need to get the glass salt shaker. That's not my job to go try to run down no glass salt shaker that I didn't know at the time was destroyed. Had I known the glass salt shaker was destroyed in 2004, I wouldn't have been down there asking Tim Harris to find no glass salt shaker. I've been down there raising Cain with Tim Harris about the glass salt shaker being destroyed. I did not know the glass salt shaker was destroyed until 2018 when Drew Edmondson, this man right here, opened his mouth and told me to my face in Oklahoma City that I was not raped and there was no glass salt shaker. Really, how could he say that? Because him and his friend, Mr. Tim Harris, destroyed the glass salt shaker. You can watch the interview that I have it on some flash drives, and we're going to put it back up on Facebook here in just a little bit sometime today. They destroyed the glass salt shaker. They were asked on Fox News about the glass salt shaker. Drew Emerson threw Tim Harris under the bus and said, you got to ask Tulsa County. Drew Emerson also said October 2018, that Pamela Smith was not raped and she did not have any collaborating evidence. Really, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. Drew Emerson? Is that why y'all hiding and y'all lying and y'all show y'all faces every once in a while? These boys need to be in jail, and I'm calling up on everybody to call the Inspector General, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the ACLU. Get these people in Tulsa, Oklahoma to investigate the District Attorney's Office, the Attorney General's Office. These boys are down here doing criminal things that's not the rule of law. And these boys need to be locked up in jail for destroying evidence that a woman was raped with, and the glass salt shaker went into the district attorney's office by law enforcement himself, Lieutenant George Randolph. And here's the proof right here. But for 20 years, they told everybody Pamela Smith wasn't raped. She just made that up. Drew Edmondson even called me a Jezebel. Drew Emerson had a niece in prison that shot up and killed some people down in Alabama, Mississippi. And I wonder, would he like it if somebody had raped his niece with a glass salt shaker? Or would he like it if somebody had called his niece or his wife a Jezebel? See, it don't feel good when this come back on you. When you're doing wrong to people. When I did wrong and paid to it, I had to pay for the wrong I did in life. That's why I went to prison. That's why I was guilty as charged for the things I done. I went to prison. I paid my debts to society. But it didn't say go to prison and be raped and sexually assaulted with no glass salt shaker by no state driver's examiner just because he was a sick man. And as a matter of fact, the FBI should have filed this as a hate crime, but they didn't do it, because if they had filed it as a hate crime, they would have had to call in the FBI out of Washington, D.C. to come in and investigate this case. And they didn't want the FBI in Tulsa, Oklahoma snooping around, because the FBI was going to find more than Pamela Smith being raped with a glass salt shaker and certificate services being destroyed. All kind of things. They did not want the Justice Department snooping around. So what they do, they played it down. They tried to taint the case so Pamela Smith couldn't get nobody to help her. They tainted the case, they thought. And let me tell y'all what a FBI agent told me. Tainting the case means that they put ugly spins on it. I'm using my words. They want it so blurry, so messed up, so when some eyes do go to see it, they can't see it because it's so mumbled, jumbled, and so boxed up. That's what they purposely thought they did. But they didn't know that one of their own law enforcement gave me the evidence sheet. And for 20 plus years, the state officials in the state of Oklahoma, law enforcement, should be ashamed of themselves. So we get women raped with glass salt shakers, and we let Donna Reed Cochran get off the hook, and we lock up little girls in state buildings and ask them for sex for a grade, which is extortion, which is kidnap. But we can't get justice in the state of Oklahoma. As I said before, how about us? How about us? When is justice going to come for me and Candace? Why do I have to keep fighting as hard as I have to fight for the truth? Truth is that I was raped with a glass salt shaker. The state officials went to destroy it because they did not want the state officials investigated. It was a high-profile case. And now today, everybody's reading about Pamela Smith all around the world. You can Google me. You can Google me and you'll find out everything you want to know. I went to prison. I was guilty as charged for the things I done. I did 6 calendar years. I paid my debts to society. But I be darned if you're going to rape me with a glass salt shaker and you're going to lock this baby up in a room and run this little old girl's life. You know, I'm an old woman now. I'm 65 years of age now. I can feather the... Lord have mercy. I can deal with it. But this child right here became my little sister. She became a hero. She's scared to death of law enforcement. Can you imagine your daughter, Drew Edmondson, Tim Harris, y'all's little beautiful white little granddaughters, and your wives locked in a room and at 15 and a half years of age and asked for sex to pass a written test that she knew. And in the transcript, it tells that. We have a transcript. We have everything on this case. The state officials is running from this case. They got the courts lying for them. Every court I go in with the same truth, they have their friends, these judges, and these courts lying for them, backdating certificate of services, knowing they didn't serve Pamela Smith. I sued the state of Oklahoma May the 9th, 2019 in Oklahoma City in the Western District in the federal court, Timothy DeGuise's court, and the state of Oklahoma, John Wilford, a leftover from Drew Edmondson, from 20 years. Now he's working for Mike Hunter. They still doing this same mindset of corruption in the state of Oklahoma. John Wilford backdated a certificate of service to July the 22nd and told the courts and everybody that he served me. They never served me. I sued them and they were supposed to serve me a dismissal. They never served it. And so if you look at the court records in Oklahoma City, Timothy DeGuise's court, in the federal district court over in Oklahoma City, you will find out I was never served. No signature. Nobody knocked on my door. But they lied to the courts. This is what the state officials do. They lie, and then the judges that go along with this corruption in the state of Oklahoma, they just as guilty. It is what it is. You have got to stop abusing y'all's power when it comes to black women wanting justice in the state of Oklahoma. When we cry out to the courts, we can't get justice, and the reason why is because the law enforcement have tainted our cases, have let the statutes of limitations run out, destroy the glass salt shaker, destroy the polygraph, destroy medical records, and then go lie to the courts and try to use somebody's past as being in prison to justify why she was raped or why she wasn't raped, and this is this. So if we're going to ever get order and the rule of law going to apply to the good old boys club, we got to start letting the judges know you all have a job to do and you're supposed to follow the rule of law. How can a woman file a brief to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal now. I filed a brief August the 12th of 2020 to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal, appealing Timothy DeGuise's ruling, dismissing my case along with the state of Oklahoma. How can you file your rulings in these courts if the rule of law is not going to apply to the people that dictate and make the rule of laws? They need to follow their own rules. When I filed this at the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal, my lawyer filed under conspiracy, cover up, 42 U.S.C. 1983, civil rights violation, 42 U.S.C. 1985, conspiracy. Now, the state was supposed to answer. They didn't even bother to answer. They just snobbed the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal. No, they didn't snob them. Somebody done told them, how can y'all answer the truth? This woman done told y'all, destroy the glass salt shaker. You destroyed polygraphs. You locked lit girls in state buildings. You raped a woman with a glass salt shaker. The glass salt shaker's destroyed. Y'all tampered with federal witnesses in the federal court, told them not to come to trial. Y'all tampered with the grand jury that these two ladies got out and buried their soul to get seated when y'all knew the glass salt shaker was destroyed in 1999, and they got out and got a grand jury in 2004. Y'all let these women get out and do all this for naught. Y'all used the grand jury as a tool to be able to abuse y'all's power. Y'all shut down the Capitol in Oklahoma City, put powder in the bag, and tried to make me and a civil rights leader terrorists, and confiscated the documents, and went on TV and called me and Reverend Easley and my husband a carrier when we took the documents to Oklahoma. I could go on and on and on with corruption on the state of Oklahoma. And all y'all have to do is store it in the Northern District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and y'all will follow me to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal, and y'all will follow me to the New York Southern District, James L. Cott in New York, that recently sent a order down, I believe it was January of 2020, that he sent it down, January or February. And that judge, he spoke truth and he spoke volume. He called it like it was. He don't know why these people not in jail. They should be in jail for all this corruption they done on the state of Oklahoma. But yet when a black person go to make our allegations known and we start cracking them across their head with truth, then they get nervous and scared, and then all of a sudden they want to go use their friends and everybody else in these courts to lie and keep covering up for them. Drew Edmondson, this man right here, is a racist. He don't like black people. He used black people for votes. He locked up over 100 people in his hometown of Muskogee, Oklahoma. He also executed 90 people when he was Attorney General. He was rated the third worst Attorney General in the world. Look at Capitol Beats. When he was the Attorney General, I was trying to get an investigative hearing on him in Oklahoma City. I was told to do that. I took some documents to Oklahoma City to give to the House Speaker, Todd Hyde. And when I went to give him to Todd Hyde's office, we go downstairs to see another guy named Darrell Gilbert, which was a flunky for Drew Edmondson. We give him some documents. We leave the Capitol. We get down the highway, me, my husband, and a civil rights leader. We get down the highway, and the FBI calls the civil rights leader's house and talk to his wife and tell his wife we left powder in a bag. Now, who gonna go take powder in a bag if you're going to get help at the Capitol? Who would do that? They was trying to taint the civil rights leader's reputation, and they was trying to keep the Republican Party from helping Pamela Smith, because it was Drew Edmondson and his regime that was doing all this corruption on the Pamela Smith rape case in the state of Oklahoma. So they shut down the Capitol. I never got the documents back, and they went to Channel 8 and told Channel 8 a carrier brought that back after they got caught lying and talked about it was powder in the bag. If it was powder in the bag, he put it in the bag. Because I don't drink coffee, and then they're going to claim and say, oh, when they looked in it, it was coffee made. Well, why would somebody going to the Capitol looking for help go do something to cut her nose to spite her face? Who would do that? These boys is so below and so dirty and so ornery and so corrupt and so evil. But I know the God I serve has got their numbers. This rapist right here, We know what he has did to many victims. Donald Reed Cochran, he's a sick man. He can't help himself. He has violated so many women. I believe in Houston, Texas. I guarantee you he done violated a woman down there. He done sexually did something to another woman. He's sick. This man just wanted him out of his hair. He wanted him gone. He was trying to run for governor. And he didn't want this man around in 2018. And he lost. Thanks to the Pamela Smith rape case and all my many supporters around the world that support Pamela Smith, Mr. James L. Johnson, Minister Jamal L. Lee. I could go on and on. My brother Rafi Zaidi, all my Nation of Islam brothers and sisters. I'm not going nowhere. They might as well get this case right. If a white woman can get raped and she can bring allegations 30 years on Bill Cosby, and I had a glass salt shaker that was destroyed. So the documentation is still around. Here it is right here. So where is the glass salt shaker? These boys right here, along with Tim Harris, the district attorney, they destroyed the glass salt shaker to keep Pamela Smith. And then for 20 years, they ran around, 20 plus years, they all called me a liar. She's making it up. But look what God did. He showed up on the 11th hour. In 2018, Drew Emerson opened his mouth and said I wasn't raped. He told Pamela Smith to her face she wasn't raped. There was no glass salt shaker. And then he even told Channel 8 News I did not have any collaborating evidence. Really? Really? Really, really, really. Well, I beg your pardon. Lieutenant George Randolph delivered the glass salt shaker into the district attorney's office, which was Tim Harris, the former district attorney that has been known to have guns and other evidence missing. Come on, y'all. Call up on the FBI, the Justice Department, and Miss Pamela Smith would love to talk to them. I went to the FBI in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Justice Department. They didn't want to help. Tim Harris is their friends. The man even told me Tim Harris was his friend. He couldn't help me. I went down there and buried my soul to the U.S. attorney for about 3 hours. Me and Minister Jamal Ali with the Nation of Islam. He went and stood with me. And the man called me back 3 months later and said, oh, Miss Smith, we can't help you. We know Drew Emerson and Tim Harris. After I had showed him the evidence, the two questions the U.S. Justice wanted to know from Pamela Smith, he wanted to know what was driving me and how did I get this evidence. How did she get this evidence? Well, sadly, they know is this. The evidence that was given to me right here, was given to me by a law enforcement in Claremore, Oklahoma. He gave me this document. So that's how I obtained this document. And in 2018, Drew Emerson told me that there was no evidence. I was not raped. Really. Shame on the state of Oklahoma. Shame on the state of Oklahoma. Justice. You all share our story. Help us to get justice in the state of Oklahoma. I want you all to know later on today I'm going to be making some more videos. Facebook took down one of my pages. I guess it was getting too hot for them. For the state officials in the state of Oklahoma, when I called up on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to help me. Oh, it got hot in here. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wrote me a letter in 2005, standing with Pamela Smith, telling me about the injustice. And when he told me in that letter, I never forget. He told me God will deliver and God cannot fail. He will not fail you. He said, dear sister. So I want you all to know that when I posted that cover of Minister Louis Farrakhan, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Pamela Smith, Minister Farrakhan was on the cover of the Rise magazine for September edition. And I was inside with my story. They had a story of me, and it's all on my Facebook. You all call up on the Justice Department, call up on the long arms, and get this case investigated. Because all these people are still living. They woke up Bill Cosby. They bothered R. Kelly. I don't know that these men are innocent or guilty. But why is it that a black woman can make her allegation against a white man, and we got to be wanting money, or we liars? But you sexually assault us, and the reason why the state of Oklahoma got in bed with this massive cover-up in the state of Oklahoma. So I want you all to know that where my case is at, I'm going to read some case numbers out to you guys, or show y'all the case numbers so you all can see. This is the case that was in Denver, Colorado. Now, it was filed in Denver, Colorado by a sister that was in the Nation of Islam. I no longer have her as my attorney now because she got sick. And so, but God's grace and mercy, we're going to get to the United States Supreme Court. It's going to happen. God gonna make a way, because that's where they nervous and scared. They don't want the help to get to the United States Supreme Court. If the United States Supreme Court can hear the cries of white women, we want the United States Supreme Court to start hearing the cries of black women, and especially with state officials violating and backdating certificate of service and destroying evidence and tampering with witnesses and using the courts to be able to shield and protect these law enforcement people of all this corruption on this case. So I want you all to know, if you look at one case number, it'll lead you to several. But right now, I'm on my way, preparing, get ready to go to the United States Supreme Court when I writ. So I want you all to know, call up on everybody you can, all the media you can, all the national media. The local media, it will not tell our story because they say, oh, that's old. But y'all go wake up Bill Cosby and tell that story, but y'all don't want to tell the Pamela Smith story and Candace Rose story, or y'all want to say, oh, she wasn't raped. So you go tank the media in the state of Oklahoma to only a few media would tell our story in the state of Oklahoma, because the media is dictated by this man right here. See, I don't fear this man. I know who my God is, and I'm trusting God in the midst of the battle and the storm. And so I want you all to cry out and stand and fight for Miss Pamela Smith as I fight for your family, your sisters, your daughters. In the state of Oklahoma, they went off and left 7,200 or 800 and some untested rape kits. Untested. They got the girl's DNA and put it on the shelf and went off and left it. You know why they left it? Them girls look like this woman. See what color my skin is? And guess who was doing it to them? Men that look like him. So we can't get justice in the state of Oklahoma, because they let the statute of limitations run out on black women, and then and some victims, other victims. But when we go to get our justice, the statutes are ran. So this Congress in Florida fought and won for a woman on statute of limitation. It should not be no statute of limitations on rape. I know there's no statute of limitations on conspiracy and cover-up. I already know that. And that's what these boys did in the state of Oklahoma. They conspired to commit cover-up and abuse of power, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and they need to be in jail. This is Mr. Drew Edmondson, used to be the Attorney General. He's a racist man. He don't like black people. He executed 90 people. It was a woman that was mentally retarded. Mentally retarded. She called from her prison cell and begged this man. They let her get a call to him. He was the Attorney General. She was mentally challenged. Yes, she killed somebody, but she was mentally challenged. When she killed somebody, she was in prison, but she'd been locked up probably 30 or 40 years. So, I mean, you know, and when she killed somebody, she did her time. She called this man right here, Drew Edmondson, the Attorney General, and asked him to spare her life. He told her no. You think he spared her life? No, she was black. He executed her. He went on and fried that black woman. He don't care about black people. Black women getting raped in this state, and they don't give a darn. If it's not my voice, I'm lifting up for women, it ain't nothing being said and done. These women are hurting in the state of Oklahoma. They want justice. I want justice. I want justice for Pamela Smith, and I want the United States Supreme Court to hear my cry and look into this case. Law enforcement all around the world. Don't believe the law enforcement in the state of Oklahoma. I know all of them are not bad, but these boys I went to the FBI, I went to the U.S. Justice, I drove to Oklahoma City, went to the FBI. I have records of all of this. The FBI wrote me a letter in October 29th of 2004 and told me I didn't have no evidence. And that was no glass salt shaker. So where did they get that from? This crook right here told them that lie. So the FBI rather believe a career criminal attorney general that has wronged more people than any attorney general in the world. But they didn't want to believe me. I was telling them in 2004, the FBI was raped and sexually assaulted with a glass salt shaker. In 2004. They didn't believe me. They told me I wasn't raped and sent me on by my way. But I didn't go away. I kept on going. So, in 2018, I go circle the wagon again. And I take this information sheet with me. The intake sheet of the evidence that I was raped, sexually assaulted by Donald Reed Cochran. And his name is all up in here, and my name. This is all of the information. And them numbers up there, y'all see? Oh, they don't think we know. We know what them numbers up there mean. They just don't think we know. But anyway, it'll tell you about the DNA and everything. So when I go talk to the FBI in October 2018 and take this, Now it's a different story. Oh, what happened in 2004 when I was telling y'all I was raped with a glass salt shaker? But you didn't believe me. Y'all wanted to believe one of y'all's own law enforcement, one of the most corrupt law enforcement in the state of Oklahoma, Drew Emerson. So y'all don't want to believe this black lady telling y'all with her husband and another friend sitting there. I don't go talk to these people without somebody because they crooked and they done proved to be not worthy to trust. So I goes back in 2018 and takes this sheet to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Trent Shore's office in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and sat down and talked to one of his U.S. attorneys in the criminal department. And he asked me 2 questions. How did I get this? And I told him, law enforcement. I was glad to tell him, which made it credible. And that probably made his hair stand on his head. And then he also asked me what was driven me. And I told him justice. He interviewed me close to 2.5, 3 hours, and then 3 months later he called and told me that he had to recuse himself off the case because he knew Drew Emerson. You knew that when I was sitting down talking to you guys. Shame on law enforcement today. You know, my grandfather was in law enforcement. I had a brother in law enforcement. My husband's family is full of law enforcement. You know, I respect that law. I don't know what this law is today. They credibility, they word, they behavior, they don't care. If it's not some big drug deal they're going after, they don't give a damn about women being raped. Shame on the law enforcement today. Where is the oath that you all took to protect, to preserve, and uphold the rule of law? Now, where is the rule of law in any of this? FBI, Drew Emerson, Tim Harris, a U.S. attorney, courts, judges. Where is the rule of law? Where is justice for Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe in any of this? All it is a bed of conspiracy and lies and cover-up. Somebody need to make Drew Emerson and Tim Harris be held accountable for destroying that glass salt shaker. People go back to cold cases and get the evidence or find the evidence. But now they can't go find mine because they purposely destroyed it, intentionally destroyed it. I told the U.S. attorney, I said, I want Drew Emerson and Tim Harris to go to jail because they intentionally destroyed the glass salt shaker. He said, they didn't intentionally do it. Oh, they did it, but they didn't intentionally do it. Okay. Well, where is it at? Well, for all you guys, I want you all to know I love you guys and thank y'all for supporting Miss Pamela Smith. You all continue to look for more coming from Miss Pamela Smith. This is the book I wrote, Begging for Justice, the true story of Pamela Smith, that I talked about the corruption in the state of Oklahoma, talked about the injustice of Drew Emerson and all the things they did wrong to Pamela Smith and Candace Rowe. This is the true story of Miss Pamela Smith. So make sure you get a book, share my post, share my live. And also, this is the information. If you want to order one of my books, Begging for Justice, Pamela Smith, you can order the book right here. You can order the book by calling 1-877-289-2665. That's 1-877-289-2665. That's the true story of Pamela Smith, the book I wrote, and you can get it off of Amazon as well. So I would like to say thank you guys for all the love and all the support that you all have given Miss Pamela Smith, and I thank you all so much. And this is the poster that we made asking the state officials in the state of Oklahoma, where is the glass salt shaker? Where is this glass salt shaker that Pamela Smith was raped and sexually assaulted with? State officials went and destroyed it because it had DNA all over it. And then went out and called Pamela Smith a lie. Everything that I could prove, they destroyed it on this case. But one thing they didn't destroy was that intake sheet. I thank you, God, for allowing me to have that intake sheet. And thank God for the law enforcement that did give it to me. However, I didn't know what it was because I didn't know what an intake sheet looked like. Most people don't know what an intake sheet looked like. If you don't work in law enforcement and district attorney's office, you don't know. I didn't know what the thing was. So I thank God until Drew Emerson opened his mouth and said there was no glass salt shaker. Really, Mr. Drew Emerson, really? Don't y'all know that one day y'all have to answer to God for all this wrong y'all did? I don't know how y'all even sleep at night. Raping women and locking little girls in state buildings, and y'all protect the rapist, and you knew he did this? Y'all knew this? But it was easy to make Pamela Smith and the little black girls just go away. Oh, they offered me $100,000 to go away. I told them no. I made a promise to God. I'm going to tell this story. And boy, by me telling this story, they have blocked every... See, telling the truth has made them tell more lies. And every lie they tell, God just always reveal their lies. Right now, the world is reading about Pamela Smith in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a woman been fighting for justice for over 20 years. How the district attorney's office destroyed the glass salt shaker with DNA. How the attorney general's office right now in 2018 backdating certificate of service in 2019, backdating certificate of service in 2018. Drew Evanson telling the victim she wasn't raped with a glass salt shaker. And I mean, they field files threatened federal witnesses. I mean, tampered with the evidence tremendously on this case. And these boys are not locked up. Drew Evans and Tim Harris need to be held accountable for that glass salt shaker, and Donald Reed Cochran need to be locked up in jail for rape, because this case is built on nothing but conspiracy. You all please share my story. If I'm going to ever get help in the state of Oklahoma for me and other victims, we need this case to have a national. We tried to get a national TV station to tell our story to help us, but the local news would block it. Oh, that's an old story. They don't want this story told, because if this story is ever told and it ever hit a national TV station, these boys is going to jail. That's why they blocking everything they can, but they can't block me. I got documentation on this case for everything. Everything Miss Pam say, I can support it and back it up. You can't get these crooks down here, Drew Emerson and Tim Harris and our governor and our attorney general and these people backdating certificate of services in the attorney general's office in Oklahoma City, destroying evidence. You can't get them to come talk. Now, they sent Steve Kusweiler out August the 6th of 2020, and he told the Black Panthers and me and all of us supporters down there that he didn't know if I was raped. Now, how could he not know I was raped when his boss was the one who destroyed the glass salt shaker, and he worked for him as an assistant DA, and now he's the DA? He don't know. He said that to protect himself and protect his friends. If he had said, yeah, he know, then they would say, okay, so that means you need to prosecute Drew Emerson and Tim Harris for destroying this glass salt shaker. I'm calling for a federal investigation. Somebody, anybody, y'all call the feds and have them investigate the state of Oklahoma. Miss Pamela Smith will sign off on anything you all have. The state of Oklahoma needs to be investigated for women's DNA. Women have died that was raped, and their DNA was just sitting on the shelf, untested. These girls went through the trouble to give their DNA, and then the state officials, Drew Emerson and Tim Harris and other counties, our attorney general, some of these men went off and left the DNA of these women just sitting on the shelf, untested. Some lawyer need to file a class action lawsuit against the state of Oklahoma for this type of behavior. These people need a wake-up call. They have done wrong for so long, and nobody come along and correct them. It's not going to take the boys in Oklahoma. I remember when there was some dirty policemen in Tulsa. It took a federal prosecutor out of another state, and she came here and cleaned house and put them dirty policemen in jail. We need that again. Women in Oklahoma want justice, and especially for rapes and sexual assault in the state of Oklahoma. You all please hear the cry. Call up on all your friends. My case is well documented in the courts. And anything that you all need to see is on my Facebook page. You all find the cases and look them up and share them. And I do want to say, I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He wrote me a letter in 2005, told me to stand and never give up. God will deliver. And he talked about the injustice. I made this magazine called Rise Magazine. He's on the front cover, and my story's in the inside. And I thank the gentleman that owned the newspaper, this magazine called Rise in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe, if I stand to be corrected, his name is Abdul Sharif Muhammad. I'd like to thank him for putting my story in the magazine with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I am very grateful. I am so thankful that God allowed me to continue to get the story told. And I want to say this, and not being ugly in any kind of way. Every story that really been printed about Pamela Smith has been told by my black press. Now, the Tulsa World told me in 2004 they'll never print my story. But in 2019, I believe it was, the Tulsa World, some young kids that's working in the Tulsa World newspaper in Tulsa, I told them what the editor told me in 2004. He'll never tell my story. He'll never print it. And they printed my story. So the Tulsa World did print it. But all of my stories that Miss Pam, you all see newspapers and articles, it come from the Oklahoma City Herald printed my story. Rise right here magazine told my story right here. The Oklahoma Eagle, Bryce Watkins. It's been on the edge of black news press that has been telling the story of this woman because the white officials is afraid of this story getting some national attention because they know that the exposure will uncover a lot of them probably end up in jail. Now, I just like to pose this question before I leave, but I'd like to say thank you all. Make sure y'all pick up a copy of this Rise magazine out of Atlanta, Georgia. Go to their website and get a copy of it. I am just so honored to be inside story of a awesome anointed man of Allah. I just thank God. I thank God. You know, He was there for me when nobody else was, and He wrote me back. And other people I wrote ignored my cry, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he answered me. He didn't have to answer me, but he did, and I am forever grateful to him and his followers. And y'all share my story. And I'm trying to retrieve some of my videos, but it don't matter because my story, I love doing my lives. My lives give me opportunity to talk to my supporters around the world and get to see me. And this is the article that is in the Rise magazine right here, Justice or Else. This is the story that they did. The young lady did an awesome job. This is a spiritual thing, you guys. It's beyond these crooks down here. God has got to have his way with this because when I called up on the Nation of Islam 2 nights ago, and called up on the minister, they deleted my whole page. Y'all hear me? They deleted it and said they dismantled it because I wasn't supposed to have 2 pages, which may be true, but everybody got 2 and 3 pages. May not be right, but I've had that page for I don't know how long. But the minute I called up on the minister, Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the lights went out. Hello? Y'all hear me? I thank you all so much for supporting Miss Pamela Smith and continually to follow my case. The first, I gave y'all that case number. I'm going to show you another case number. Write them down so y'all can have them, so y'all can follow them. It's like a little road map, but one case will lead to another one. This is the one that I filed the lawsuit in Oklahoma City in Timothy DeGrease's court, and that case number is 19-6123. 19-6123. This is where I appealed it to the United States Supreme Court. Timothy DeGrease allowed John Wilford to backdate a certificate of service that he served me a dismissal, and there's no record, nowhere, my signature, nothing. They just lie. And then the Attorney General's office, not only did John Wilford backdate a certificate of service, he had a lady in his office falsified an affidavit, and they sent that up to the courts. These people are not above sending fraudulent documents. You know why they do it? Because they know these people got their backs in these other courts. They know they're coming for them. That girl filed an affidavit to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal that she served me. Well, I'm still waiting on that paper to get served. I never got served, and they know they didn't serve me, so they lie. So they go put some fake documentation. How many other people in the state of Oklahoma, they done falsified their documents? That's why the state of Oklahoma's Attorney General's office need to be investigated for this case right here, for that document right there. Right there is the beginning of an investigation of the Attorney General's office, Mike Hunter, in Oklahoma City, that got a man named John Wilford backdating certificate of service. You're not going to tell me I'm the only person y'all done backdated some certificate of service or done did some fraudulent things with documents. This state needs a federal investigation out of Washington, D.C. That's what it needs for people. We can't never get justice down in the state of Oklahoma if all our law enforcement going to get in bed and continue this corruption in the state of Oklahoma. This is my appendix that I filed to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal, and you all can read it. This is the appendix that went up, as I told y'all, that the state couldn't answer. They didn't even answer the appendix in the appeal. They didn't answer. So the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal sent it back down on jurisdiction. because they didn't answer on conspiracy and cover-up because they couldn't. It's hard to answer to truth when you're lied for 20 years. So they didn't even bother to answer the ruling, the brief that my attorney sent to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal. The state of Oklahoma just flat out ignored to answer. And then the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal answered and sent it down on jurisdiction. And I'll show y'all that document right now. This is the document that came down on September the 18th, 2020, out of the 10th Circuit Court of Appeal. Now, in this brief right here, my lawyer told the courts about conspiracy, civil rights violation, and everything. Oh, well, this judge right here sent it down. These judges sent it down on jurisdiction. They didn't address the issues. They don't want to address the issue because if they address the issues of the civil rights violation and the conspiracy, they would probably be in jail. So they just ignored the ruling. So now I'm on my way to the United States Supreme Court to file this here ruling on jurisdiction. On jurisdiction, you guys. Really? What happened to the glass salt shaker? What about the conspiracy of destroying the prosecutor misconduct? Oh, no, they couldn't do that. Shame, shame, shame on the state of Oklahoma. Shame, shame, shame. You all follow my case in, I'm going to give y'all the very first case number when it's all beginning. That case number is 00CV0035C. That's the beginning of it all in January the 13th of 2000. That's when it all began. That case number is 00C as in cat, V as in Victor, 0035C, and it has a J in parentheses. So whatever that means, I guess jurisdiction, I have no clue. But that was filed January the 13th of 2000. It was filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Oklahoma, which is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Do y'all hear me? This is another order. I'm showing y'all documentations. Miss Pam can show y'all everything because one thing about Miss Pam, I come real with man. This is the case number out of New York, out of the Southern District. That's a case number there. And the Southern District Judge had sent me a order and told me to tell him why I did not want my case heard in Oklahoma City in the Western District, or even why didn't want it in the Northern District. And I wrote him back and told him, "Dear Your Honor, thank you for asking me that. You're the only judge that I can say that been concerned about the justice for Pamela Smith. Yes, Your Honor, I tell you why I don't want it in the Western District. Well, I gave some lawyers $4,000 to file a lawsuit for me on May the 9th of 2019. They told me don't file a lawsuit in Tulsa, told me to go to Oklahoma City because I can get better justice and because the Northern District hadn't treated me fair. Well, Your Honor, I went to the Western District, got over there and got mistreated. Filed $500 to file my lawsuit, and once I filed it, the state of Oklahoma was supposed to serve me a dismissal. I was watching news on June 11th of 2019, and Fox News said that talking about the lawsuit, it made the news, and then it said that the state had filed for a dismissal. I heard that on the news, June 11th, 2019, Your Honor. And so, Your Honor, then, Your Honor, they backdate certificate of service and said they served me, and they never served me, Your Honor. And, Your Honor, and another reason I can't come to the Northern District. Well, Your Honor, when I went to trial January of 2004, the judge told me I couldn't use the word rape. If you use the word rape in my courtroom, I'm going to call a mistrial. Well, Your Honor, I was raped. How do you tell a story if you can't talk about being raped? And the glass salt shaker couldn't show up, Your Honor, because the glass salt shaker I didn't know in 2004. Now I know today they couldn't come with the glass saucer because they destroyed it back in 1999. I didn't know that, Your Honor. And Your Honor, they told told an all-white jury to look at her and then look at him. Look at her and then look at him and tell who's lying. They didn't say look at the glass salt shaker because the glass salt shaker wasn't there. They didn't say take the testimony of Lieutenant George Randolph. He wasn't there. But they told Pamela Smith she can't use the word rape in this courtroom, and if she do, we're going to call a mistrial. Do you hear me? Miss Riley, you tell your client she can't use that word rape. Wow. Now, Your Honor, you see why? Your Honor, they destroyed the glass salt shaker. They destroyed my field. I'm telling the New York judge all of this in New York at the Southern District. And the reason why I filed my lawsuit in New York, December the 26th of 2019 was, I was wanting to get justice because they backdated a certificate of service July the 22nd. And if I was going to get some justice, Pacer Monitor is involved in this lawsuit because somebody at the Attorney General's office, which was John Wilford, backdated the certificate of service, used Pacer Monitor to do it. So Pacer Monitor is in New York. So I felt like if I filed my lawsuit because one of the litigants I was suing or is in New York, I could go to the Southern District. I can get this out of Oklahoma and get some help. And Pacer Monitor it was somehow involved with hiding this document. Because the only way it could have got hid to July the 22nd, it was in a PDF file, and a lady at the Western District in the court gave it to me. She went online and found it. She said, I got to go find it, but she looked through the PDF. Some way she went and found it. You know, an IT guy and all the people know all that, but I got the documents and everything to support everything that I said. So anyway, I'm telling the judge all of this about what they did to me and how I've been scandalized, been attacked, called a Jezebel by the Attorney General's office, been called a lie. Just have attacked my character in every way I could, telling people all I wanted was money. I wasn't raped no glass. So, Your Honor, this is why I want this in New York. Maybe I have a chance to true justice if you could hear my case. Well, I want you all to know this is the case. You all need to look up and read what that judge said in New York. That judge put it down. But yet you think these folks down here following the rule of law? Absolutely not. They're not following the rule of law whatsoever. They don't have to. We the Attorney General. We crooked cops down here. We dirty law enforcement. We do what we want to do. Who's that judge in New York to tell us what to do? Really? So with all that being said, I wanted y'all to see that this is a piece of paper. They got all my cases. You all can follow this with some of the cases on it. This is this says this minute order was electronic filed in the Northern District, and it said minute ordered by court clerk changing case number to 20-CV-126- S in cat, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, dash F as in Frank, H as in home, M as in Mary. This is what they sent. So this is case numbers and everything that you all need. Y'all, to my brothers online, thank you all for supporting me. Share my posts. Get me some help down here and turn this case into the authorities. Read my case. Yes, I was guilty as charged. I went to prison. I was guilty as charged. But it did not say for me to go to prison and be raped and sexually assaulted with a glass salt shaker and then cry out to all the law enforcement. I want you all to know, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Abdul Shakur, I don't know no law enforcement in the state of Oklahoma that I have not cried out to. I even cried out to my Congress, Tom Coburn, Jim Inhofe, Cole, the one named Cole from Oklahoma. I don't know who I didn't call, but they all turned a deaf ear. They didn't want to touch it because they didn't want to get Drew Evans and Tim Harris in jail because they knew that that's where they would go. We know if Drew Evans and Tim Harris go to jail, the rapists go to jail. If the rapists go to jail, Drew Evans and Tim Harris and all these other corrupt state officials go. So it's never too late for justice. I have fought with everything I have in me, and I'm going to continue to fight for justice for me and countless women in the state of Oklahoma. I get stories all the time with women being raped in the state of Oklahoma, and I know one recently that they went to the district attorney to ask him, and he told her he couldn't help them. Their statute of limitations gone. That's what they do in the state of Oklahoma. They continually to abuse women of their rights, and when we exercise our rights, this is the type of behavior we confronted with or encounter with. And then the state of Oklahoma needs to be investigated for the corruption and start with the Pamela Smith rape case. Pamela Smith's case. I gave y'all the case number. They never would make a police report on my case. Everything they did was for a massive cover-up on the state of Oklahoma. And when you all read this case and share this case, you all will be amazed how good God has been to me through this storm of this battle, and I'm still standing. As I said, I got to get together based on this last ruling that the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals sent down on jurisdiction instead of addressing the issue on conspiracy and cover-up. They can't do that because they just want Pam Smith to go away. I'm not going nowhere. I would never give up. I have justice to ride for Pamela Smith and countless women, and especially my little sister Candace Rowe. That baby needs justice, you know. That's wrong what they did. It's just nothing right about any of this, and you can't even justify it. I want my justice, and I will continue to cry out, and I will continue to bring you all post of Miss Pamela Smith begging for justice, the true story of Miss Pamela Smith. And again, we asking the state officials. We know that the glass salt shaker's destroyed, but the state officials need to be held accountable. Why did y'all destroy it? And we know why. It had DNA on it. And why y'all did it, y'all had to be able to stop Pamela Smith from getting justice is what they did. So I ask for each and every one of you guys that will come on my page, continue to pray for me and lift me up in prayer, and pray for Candace Rowe, that young lady will continue to get stronger and God will give her strength. And to all the other victims that was victim to Donald Reed Cochran, and the state officials allowed him, gave him permission, gave him a license to rape and sexually assault women. I was raped, sexually assaulted with a glass salt shaker to say goodbye to my dying sister. My sister died Easter Sunday of 1998. I was raped that Friday with a glass salt shaker. I was cut, I was bleeding, I was hurt. I didn't care. All I wanted to do was say goodbye to my dying sister. Just wanted to breathe over. Want her to hear my voice to live. She died that Easter Sunday, but I got to see her that Friday. I paid a hell of a price. So, what a journey, you guys. But I know God is more than able. Thank you all so much, and share my post. Bye-bye.